Okay guys, here you go. First flip lesson, it is chapter 3, lesson 5, all about adding, subtracting, yay, fractions, something you've done for the last couple of years, a little bit of review for you. Here we go. To start off, we're going to start easy. When you have a common or a like denominator, same denominator, both fractions, you just keep it. I love that, makes it easy. And you add the numerators, the top number. Keep the denominator, add the numerators. 5 plus 1 is 6, 6/8. Unfortunately, we have to simplify. Well, how do you simplify? You take 6, you take 8, and you find the factors. 1 times 6 equals 6. 2 times 3 equals 6. So those are the factors of 6. Take the factors of 8. 1 times 8. 2 times 4. Those are the factors of 8. Then we find the greatest common factor, which is 2. And we're going to take this GCF, greatest common factor, and we're going to divide the numerator by 2, the denominator by 2, and it equals 3/4. So there you have it. 5/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 6/8 or 3/4. Let's do a subtraction problem. Again, common denominator. Woohoo! Easy peasy. Keep the denominator and simply subtract the numerators. So 9 minus 4. 9 minus 4 is 5/11. Well, I got to simplify. So to simplify, I'm going to take 5, the disappearing 5. There's 5. I'm going to take 11. I'm going to find all the factors. 1 times 5 is 5, and that's it. 11. 1 times 11 is 11. That's it. These two numbers are called prime numbers because they have 2 factors. And if they're both prime, we know it's in simplest form. Yay! Easy. Alright, let's talk about unlike denominators. If you have an unlike denominator, you got to find one. 2 ways to find a common denominator. Way number 1, find the LCM. Find the LCM. Way number 2, just simply multiply the denominators together. It will always give you a common denominator. Alright? So here we're going to... Alright, let's give it a try. Here we have 2 fractions with unlike denominators. 6 and 8 are not common. So the first thing we need to do is find a common denominator. To find a common denominator, I'm going to take both 6, denominator of 1, and 8, and find their multiples. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24. I'm going to stop there. We can keep going, but I'm going to stop there. 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, and I can stop right now. These are multiples because I multiply this number times 1, times 2, times 3, and the least common multiple is right there. It's the smallest multiple they have in common. It's called the LCM. So now I'm going to rewrite my 2 fractions, if I can keep it, 5/6, 7/8. I'm going to rewrite them as equivalent fractions, but the denominator is going to be 24 instead of 6 or 8. Well, let's do this one first. 6 times 4 is 24. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 24ths is equivalent to 5/6. They represent the same amount of the whole. Here I just chopped this pizza up into more pieces than that one. We're going to do the same thing down here. 8 times 3 is 24. 7 times 3 is 21. So now that they have a common denominator, I can rewrite my problem 20 plus 21 over the common denominator of 24. I add them together, I get 41 over 24. And unfortunately or fortunately, I have to simplify. Well, I ask myself, how many times is 24 going to 41? I know it's once. And then I subtract. I have 17 left over. and I keep the denominator the same. So 1 and 17/24 is 5/6 plus 7/8. And last one of the day, a subtraction problem. Again, unlike denominator, so we got to find a common denominator. I'm going to take 3. Well, I'm going to show you the other method this time, where you just multiply those together to get a common denominator of 12. It works every time, but it's not always the least common denominator. So I'm going to use 12 as my common denominator. Not sure if it's the least or not. I might have to simplify at the end, but it's okay. So I have 2/3 and 3/4. I'm going to write equivalent fractions with 12 as my denominator. Okay? 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 4. So I have to do the numerator by the same to make it equivalent. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. So now I have equivalent fractions with common denominators. So I'm going to rewrite my expression here. 8/12 minus 9/12. On this one, I'm going to use an old strategy where I change this to addition and add the opposite. I think it's going to help me. Keep my denominator, 8 plus -9. Well, -9 has a bigger absolute value than 8, so I know this is going to be negative. 9 minus 8 is 1. -1 over 12. -1/12. I'm going to check just to make sure that makes sense. 2/3 is about 1. I'm going to estimate here just to make sure. I always like to estimate to see. 2/3 is about 1. Minus 3/4 is about 1. Is -1/12 close to 0? 1 minus 1, 0. Yeah, they're about close, so I think I should be right. Alright, to end, I'm just going to put this little lesson quiz up if you'd like to try a couple on your own. That way you can practice and see how you do. But if you do, pause the video, write down the questions, because I am going to show you the answers. Okay? So here are the answers. 5/7 minus 3/7. 2/7. Common denominator, you can just subtract. Number 2, 3/8 plus 5/8. Common denominator, 8/8, which equals 1. Number 3, unlike denominator, you have to find a common denominator. 11/12. 4, find a common denominator and simplify. 1/4. And that last one, 1 1/8. There's adding and subtracting fractions in 8 minutes.